MAGA Mike Johnson is in a panic and he is shutting down the House of Representatives. He says he's going to force the House into recess in order to avoid a vote on the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files. Pressure has been mounting on Capitol Hill and against Republican lawmakers from their constituents as well, saying we need to release these files. MAGA Mike Johnson believes that if he can delay until August, Donald Trump can try to come up with some scheme in order to avoid releasing the Epstein files. So MAGA Mike Johnson shutting Congress down effectively. He's having the Rules Committee basically block a rule which stops further legislation from making its way onto the floor of the House of Representatives. So Congress is essentially frozen right now because MAGA Republicans and MAGA Mike Johnson, at Donald Trump's demand, is running scared about the release of the Epstein files. Let me bring the receipts and show you what is going down. So earlier yesterday, MAGA Mike Johnson was asked in the House of Representatives, hey, so are you going to be releasing these Epstein files? Are you going to take a vote on it this week? And he goes, no, we need to create some space. Listen to what he says. Some space for the president to be able to figure out what he's going to do and what his regime is going to do. Here, play this clip.
So here's what I would say about the Epstein files. There is no daylight between the House Republicans, the House, and the president on maximum transparency. He has said that he wants all the credible files related to Epstein to be released. He's asked the Attorney General to request the grand jury files of the court. All of that is in process right now. My belief is we need the administration to have the space to do what it is doing. And if further congressional action is necessary or appropriate, then we'll look at that. But I don't think we're at that point right now because we agree with the president.
So no vote on this resolution?
No.
We need to give them space, to cover this up further right there. And now MAGA Republicans like Warren Davidson are saying we need to see Pam Bondi testify before the House of Representatives. Here, play this clip.
I don't really see why we would do anything other than bring Pam Bondi in and say, to committee of jurisdiction and say, please explain.
I mean, but you want to hear her testify, Pam Bondi?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not on that committee, but, I really would like the committee of jurisdiction to bring her in and say, hey, you start this off, you've got binders. Please explain. We are led to believe there are going to be some prosecutions. If we're going to prosecute, we assume there's going to be convictions. And I think that's really the disconnect.
Now, Meredith Lee, who covers all things Congress, writes, House GOP leaders will give the White House time over the August break to determine how they're going to handle the Epstein-related info. Ralph Norman, the hardline MAGA conservative or MAGA Republican on the House Rules Committee, says that the panel will not report a rule this week for bills, effectively shutting down the House floor. Why? He doesn't want to vote on the Democrats' Epstein amendments to release the Epstein files. He says, it's just the Democrats grandstanding. So they're not even going to conduct any more business in the House of Representatives to avoid it. As Jake Sherman, who covers all things Congress, says, just to put this in context, the House Rules Committee needs to report a rule so the Speaker, MAGA Mike Johnson, can put bills on the floor so things can get voted on. The Rules Committee is now paralyzed because of how the Speaker is dealing with the Epstein issue, so the House can't do anything of substance this week. Now, MAGA Mike Johnson over the weekend was on with the Mark Levin show. And here's Mark Levin's like, we better be united for Donald Trump. We can't do let's stop talking about Epstein. And MAGA Mike's like, shaking his head and like, okay, whatever Donald says. Here, play this clip.
We have a lot to run on and you have a lot to run against, given the other party. But I will tell you this, we better be united. We better be strong. We better be focused. We better be articulate. We can't waste our time on Epstein and other stuff that are going on here that some people want us to focus on. I've about had it with all that stuff. We better focus on who we are, what we're doing, where we want to take the country, and what they want to do to the country.
And now, MAGA Mike saying he was going to send the House into recess without voting on anything relating to Epstein caught some of these MAGA Republicans by surprise. They wanted there to be a full vote on the release of the Epstein files. MAGA Republican Congressmember Andy Harris, chair of the House Freedom Caucus, said he doesn't believe that Speaker Johnson won't put the Epstein resolution on the floor. He thinks that he actually believes, is gaslighting, that MAGA Mike Johnson's going to put it on the floor. He goes, I told him that Johnson said it on camera. And then he's like, all right, but we still have more time this week. It's only Monday. Meanwhile, MAGA Republican Congressmember Thomas Massie, who's been a major proponent of releasing the files. He was also against Donald Trump's disastrous budget bill. Here he says MAGA Mike is scared. Here's what he's got to say. Play this clip.
What do you make of the Speaker's handling of this issue over the past couple of weeks?
I think he's scared. I think he's terrified.
Of what?
I think, 80% of MAGA, once these files released, they were promised this, they expected this, and it's not happening. But at the same time, he feels an allegiance to President Trump, who's gone against the MAGA base on this. So I think he's torn. I think the right thing to do would be just leave it up to the People's House. Let us vote on whether to release these files or not. And I hope he does not try to use some kind of parliamentary procedure to subvert or hide the release of these files.
Just to follow up on what you said earlier, of you don't think the public pressure is going to go away over the next 5 weeks. Do you see it lasting as long as, the 26 midterms, if that follows Republicans through to that, depending on how they vote?
This will be an issue that does follow Republicans through the midterms. And it will follow each individual Republican through the midterms. It will follow people into their primaries. Did you support transparency and justice? Or did you come up here, get elected, and fall into the swamp? Did you decide that getting reelected was more important than exposing a pedophilia ring and a blackmail ring? If you did, then maybe you shouldn't be coming back. And that'll be a referendum in every primary and every general election in the United States in 2026, which is why I'm urging people to get onto my resolution to co-sponsor the release of these files before we go into August recess. There's only 6 legislative days between when I release this, introduce this bipartisan resolution and the August recess, but we need 7 legislative days to start collecting signatures and force the vote. As soon as we get back, there's going to be a vote on this, unless the Speaker subverts it.
And here's more from Thomas Massie. Hat tip to one of the groups that MeidasTouch partners with, Pablo Manriquez of Migrant Insider, who got this great footage. And Massie explains really the whole cover up here of what MAGA Mike Johnson is doing here. Play this clip.
Well, it wouldn't really matter. Their Epstein bill resolution is non-binding, so it's kind of fake. The resolution that I have co-sponsored with Ro Khanna would actually bring up legislation that would be binding on the president.
Is your understanding that will ripen the day after lawmakers get back from August recess?
Yeah, unfortunately, we have 6 days and we needed 7 days for the discharge petition to ripen before we could bring this up before the August recess. So we'll have to bring it up after the August recess. But the good news is the Speaker has no interest in keeping us here 1 extra day, because this will ripen in an extra day.
Have you heard from the president?
I've not heard from the president directly.
Now, as you heard Massie say, MAGA Republican congressman, he says regarding the August recess, he goes, I don't think this is going to work for MAGA Mike Johnson. I think momentum will build for transparency. He predicts at least 12 Republicans and enough signatures will force a vote on this bill. I don't think this is going to go away. And I think when we return in September, we'll get phase 2 of the Epstein files. Jamie Dupree writes, for those not on Capitol Hill, this is a House GOP debacle. They are so scared of votes regarding Epstein that they will punt most of this week's legislative schedule and start their summer break early. Meanwhile, Martin Luther King Jr.'s daughter, Bernice King, did a photo or posted a photo of her dad, Martin Luther King Jr., because the Trump regime's like, we're releasing the Martin Luther King files today. And then she's like, all right, can we do the Epstein files, please? Meanwhile, the Democratic leader, Hakeem Jeffries, said, look, Epstein was a friend of Trump. Released. Why do you think Donald Trump wants to talk about Obama and everything else this week? Release the freaking files. Here, play this clip.
Let's be clear about the situation here. Jeffrey Epstein was a friend of Donald Trump. Jeffrey Epstein was arrested during the Trump administration. Jeffrey Epstein was detained during the Trump administration. Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide during the Trump administration. Trump administration officials have said prior to arriving in Washington in positions of prominence, including at the FBI and the Department of Justice, that they were going to release the Epstein files. Trump administration officials are now in a position to release the Epstein files. Does any of that, in your view, have anything to do with President Joe Biden? Why do we think President Joe Biden or President Barack Obama's names are being invoked? Because Donald Trump is running scared. And the Trump administration is running scared. What are they hiding from the American people? Release the files so that the American people can make a decision on their own. This has nothing to do with a Democratic-led conspiracy theory. And the facts and the chronology make that clear.
Now you also have Donald Trump's chief propagandist, Caroline Leavitt, running scared. She was asked why Donald Trump doesn't just order his FBI to release the files that they have. They have 300 gigabytes of files. Just, they have the wire intercepts. They have logs, lists, photographs. They have the people who Epstein communicated with. They did the raids of Epstein's houses, the houses on the island. So they have all the files. I mean, yes, there are certain grand jury testimony, but that's a small portion. The FBI has all the stuff. Release it. Here, this is what she says. Play it.
Why hasn't the president just ordered the FBI to release the full Epstein files, just get it all out there?
The president has said if the Department of Justice and the FBI want to move forward with releasing any further credible evidence, they should do so. As to why they have or have not or will, you should ask the FBI about that.
Notice how she's now throwing the FBI under the bus, and here she does it again. Let's play it.
There are reports that President Trump or the FBI agents going through the Epstein files were told to flag President Trump's name if it came up. Is that something the president was aware of or something that he directed those agents or the Department of Justice to do?
I don't believe that's something the White House was aware of. You'd have to ask the FBI.
So there you have it, folks. You got MAGA Mike running scared, the White House running scared. And why? It's because Donald Trump and Epstein were very, very close friends. Mar-a-Lago was used as one of the locations to do the sex trafficking for Epstein. I've told you the story of Virginia Giuffre, underage girl, 17 years old, towel girl, recruited by Epstein at Mar-a-Lago. Donald Trump would have events, just him, Epstein, and invite women of indeterminate age to the event. I mean, these are undisputed facts, folks. Remember yesterday I showed you the video of Uncle Luke from 2 Live Crew who went to one of these parties that Donald Trump had with the girls from his pageants. And he said, I don't even know how old these girls are. I had to leave. I thought this was a very problematic. So you have all the facts there. We're going to stay on this here at the MeidasTouch Network. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe and let's get to 6 million subscribers.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.